The rain had started 3 hours before dawn, turning the cobblestones into mirrors that reflected nothing but my own uncertainty. I stood at the edge of the platform, clutching my worn leather satchel against my chest, watching the steam rise from the massive iron carriages that lined the depot like sleeping beasts. The air smelled of coal, smoke, and wet wool, of journeys about to begin and others long overdue. I had never been good at belonging. The grand gathering happened once every 7 years, a tradition older than memory, where unmated wolves from every territory converged at the capital to meet, mingle, and find their place in the intricate hierarchy that governed our kind. For most, it was a celebration, a chance to find a mate, to forge alliances, to climb the social ladder that determined everything in our world. For me, it felt like walking toward an execution I'd dressed up for. My fingers found the rough fabric of my coat, tracing the stitching my mother had repaired just last week. The needle holes were still visible if you looked closely enough, tiny punctures in the dark wool that told the story of how many times this coat had been mended, how many seasons it had survived. "You're stronger than you think, Sophia," my mother had whispered as she worked, her hands trembling slightly with the effort. Edna Francis had always been a woman of faith. Faith in the old ways, faith in bloodlines and destiny, faith in me even when I'd stopped having faith in myself. But her eyes had told a different story that night, the same worry that had lived in them since my father died in the border wars 15 years ago. Since our small pack had been absorbed into a larger territory 5 years after that, stripped of our lands and our autonomy, reduced to barely tolerated guests in someone else's home. Since I had become just another face in a crowd of stronger, faster, more desirable wolves, a girl with no prospects, no power, no future, I was 23 and unclaimed. In our world, that marked me as either defective or impossibly particular. The truth was simpler and more painful. I was forgettable. Alphas looked through me like I was made of glass. Betas dismissed me without a second glance. Even Omegas, who occupied the lowest rung of our hierarchy, seemed to pity me, which was somehow worse than being ignored. The conductor's whistle pierced the air, sharp and final. All passengers, final boarding. Carriages depart in 5 minutes. Check your ticket numbers. The crowd surged forward like a living thing, a tide of bodies pressing against bodies, the scent of wet fur and desperation, and barely contained violence filling my lungs. Wolves were not meant to be packed together like this, especially not during the gathering when everyone's instincts were running hot, when every unmated wolf was searching, hoping, competing for attention and status. I clutched my ticket, Carriage 7, common passage, and tried to push through the chaos. A massive male wolf, easily 6.5 feet tall, with shoulders like a mountain, shoved past me roughly, nearly knocking me into a puddle of oily water that had collected near the platform's edge. "Move it, unclaimed!" he snarled, his eyes raking over me with such quick dismissal that I might as well have been invisible. His friends laughed as they followed him, their voices carrying back to me on the wind. "Did you see her? 20-something and still alone. Pathetic." I stumbled, catching myself on a post, my face burning with shame, even as rain continued to pour down. The humiliation was familiar by now. I should have been numb to it, but somehow it still had the power to cut deep, to remind me of everything I wasn't, everything I would never be. The platform was emptying rapidly as wolves boarded their assigned carriages. I could see Carriage 7 ahead, the common passage car, already packed with bodies, condensation fogging the windows from the press of warm bodies inside. Hours of being crushed between strangers who would look through me, who would treat me like furniture, who would make me feel even smaller than I already felt. I couldn't face it. Not tonight. Not when I was already running on empty, when the last shreds of my dignity felt like they were slipping through my fingers like sand. The storm intensified, rain now coming down sideways, driven by wind that howled through the depot like a living thing. Through the blur of water, I spotted another door hanging open on a carriage further down the platform, away from the crowd. The carriage was dark inside, quiet, blissfully empty from what I could see. Without thinking, driven by nothing but exhaustion and the desperate need to escape, I ran for it. My boots splashed through puddles, water soaking through the worn leather, my satchel bouncing against my hip. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the platform in stark white light for just a moment. In that flash, I saw the carriage clearly sleek, black exterior with gold trim along the windows. More elegant than any of the other cars, isolated at the far end of the platform like it belonged to a different world entirely. But I was already running, already committed, and the open door was an invitation I couldn't refuse. I hauled myself up the steps, my hands slipping on the wet metal, and tumbled inside with all the grace of a drowning cat. The door slammed shut behind me with a finality that made my heart skip, the sound of it locking echoing in the sudden silence. I stood there for a moment, dripping water onto what I was now realizing was very expensive carpet, gasping for breath, my hair plastered to my face. Slowly, I looked up, and that's when I realized my mistake. This wasn't Carriage 7. This wasn't anywhere close to Carriage 7. This wasn't even a passenger carriage in the normal sense. The interior was like something out of a dream or a nightmare, depending on how you looked at it. Dark wood paneling gleamed in the soft light of amber lamps, each one enclosed in hand-blown glass that cast dancing shadows on the walls. The seats weren't the hard benches of common passage, but deep burgundy velvet that looked softer than any bed I'd ever slept in, arranged around small tables of polished mahogany. Fixtures of real gold, not brass, not paint, but actual gold caught the lamplight. The carpet beneath my feet was so thick that my waterlogged boots left dark impressions in the pile. Velvet curtains, framed windows of crystal clear glass, and I could see my own pale, frightened reflection staring back at me. The air smelled different too, cedar and smoke and leather and something else. Something wild and dangerous that made every instinct in my body scream at me to run, to submit, to make myself as small as possible. Alpha. Not just any alpha. Something more. Something that made my wolf silent and dormant for so many years suddenly wake up and cower inside me. Well, a deep voice drawled from the shadows near the window. This is unexpected. My heart stopped. I spun around, water flying from my soaked hair, and found myself staring at a man who radiated power like the sun radiates heat. He sat in one of the leather chairs near the window, partially hidden in shadow, a glass of amber liquid in his hand. He was watching me with the kind of focused intensity that predators have when they've spotted something interesting. Not necessarily prey, but something worth paying attention to, worth studying before deciding what to do with it. As my eyes adjusted to the lamplight, I could see him more clearly, and my breath caught in my throat. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 30, 35 at most, with dark hair that fell across his forehead in a way that should have softened his features but somehow didn't. His face was all sharp angles, high cheekbones, a strong jaw, a nose that looked like it had been broken at least once and healed slightly crooked. His eyes were the color of winter storms, that particular shade of gray that could be beautiful or terrifying depending on the light. Right now, in the amber glow of the lamps, they looked like frozen steel. He wore a black shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle and marked with scars, some thin and precise like knife wounds, others jagged and brutal like claw marks. His hands were large, capable, with long fingers that held the crystal glass with surprising delicacy. Everything about him radiated danger and control and a kind of crushing dominance that made it hard to breathe. The pressure in the air was almost physical, pressing down on me like a weight, demanding that I drop my eyes, bare my throat, submit to the superior predator in the room. My wolf was whimpering inside me, every instinct screaming at me to show deference, to acknowledge his authority. I'm sorry, I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. Wrong carriage. I didn't mean to intrude. I turned toward the door, grabbing for the handle with shaking hands. The door's locked, he said, his voice still quiet, still conversational, but with an undertone that made it clear this wasn't a suggestion or an observation. It was a fact I needed to accept. I grabbed the handle anyway, pulling with all my strength. It didn't budge. Locked solid, no give at all. The man and I still didn't know who he was, though a terrible suspicion was forming in my mind. Took a slow sip of his drink, never taking his eyes off me. Train's already moving. We departed 30 seconds ago. My stomach dropped. I pressed my ear to the door, listening past the pounding of my own heart, and heard it, the rhythmic clack of wheels on tracks, the low whistle of the engine, the gentle sway of motion. We were pulling away from Iron Depot, the platform already receding into the rainy darkness behind us, gathering speed with every passing second. "Let me out," I said, and hated how my voice shook, how small I sounded. "Please, this is a mistake. I need to get off." "Can't do that. Not unless you want to jump from a moving train." He set his glass down on the small table beside him, with deliberate care, and rose to his feet. The movement was fluid, graceful, economical, no wasted motion, no hesitation. He was tall, easily 6'3", and built like someone who'd spent their entire life training for war. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, the kind of lean muscle that came from actual combat rather than gymnasium exercises. As he stood, the lamplight caught something on his shirt, a small emblem embroidered in silver thread over his heart. My eyes focused on it, and my blood turned to ice. A crown, bisected by 3 claw marks. The symbol of the Northern Territories, the personal emblem of their king. "Oh God," I whispered, my legs suddenly weak. "You're Stephen Ashford," he said, and the name took up all the air in the carriage, pressing down on me with almost physical force. King of the Northern Territories, Alpha of Alphas. I'd heard of him, of course. Everyone had heard of Stephen Ashford. He'd taken the throne 5 years ago after his father's death, had consolidated power with brutal efficiency, crushing every rival who challenged his authority. He was known for being cold, calculating, ruthlessly pragmatic. They said he'd killed his own uncle for attempting a coup, had personally executed 3 alphas who'd refused to bow to his rule, had turned the Northern Territories from a fractured collection of bickering packs into the most powerful unified territory in the entire wolf world. They said he was a weapon in human form, that he felt nothing, wanted nothing, cared for nothing except power and control. And I had just stumbled into his private carriage like a fool. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Yes, I managed, Your Majesty. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean the rain, the crowd. I got confused with the carriage numbers. I thought this was carriage 7. I'll pay any fine, accept any punishment, just please. Sit down." The command hit me like a physical blow. My legs folded beneath me without my permission, dumping me into the nearest velvet chair. Alpha command the ability of dominant wolves to enforce their will on those weaker than them. I'd felt it before, but never like this. Never with this kind of crushing, absolute authority that left no room for resistance. I sat there, shaking, water dripping from my clothes onto his expensive furniture, trying not to cry from sheer terror and humiliation. Stephen moved closer, each step deliberate and measured, until he stood a few feet away. Close enough that I could smell the cedar and smoke on his skin, far enough that I didn't feel immediately threatened. He studied me with those cold gray eyes, and I forced myself to meet his gaze, even though every instinct screamed at me to drop my eyes. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sophia." "Family name?" I hesitated. My mother had been Edna Francis, from a minor family in the Eastern Territories. We'd had a name once, a small piece of land, a place in the hierarchy. But after my father died and our pack was absorbed, after we became refugees in our own home, the name had stopped meaning anything. I'd stopped using it years ago. "Just Sophia," I said. "Just Sophia." He repeated it like he was tasting the words, testing them. No family, no pack, no standing. It wasn't a question. And the casual way he said it, like he was cataloging facts rather than passing judgment, somehow hurt more than open mockery would have. "No," I admitted quietly, "none of those things." Stephen's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Well, just Sophia, it seems you're stuck with me for the next 3 days. This train doesn't stop until we reach the capital. No stations, no platforms, no opportunities to disembark. 3 days. 72 hours. Trapped in a luxury carriage with the most dangerous wolf in the territories, completely at his mercy. My mind raced, searching for options. I could try to break the window and jump, but we were already going too fast, and the fall would probably kill me. I could try to fight him, but that was laughable. He could snap me like a twig without even trying. I could scream for help, but who would help me? His guards? His servants? They would side with their king, not some nobody who'd stumbled into the wrong carriage. I had no leverage, no power, no options. I was completely, utterly trapped. "I can sleep on the floor," I said quietly, trying to make myself as small and unthreatening as possible. "In the corner. I won't bother you. I'll be as invisible as possible, I promise. You won't even know I'm here." "The floor?" Stephen laughed, but there was no warmth in it. It was the laugh of someone who found the situation amusing in an abstract sort of way, but not actually funny. "I'm not a monster, despite what you've probably heard. There's a sleeping compartment through that door." He pointed to an almost invisible panel in the wood wall that I hadn't noticed before. "You'll take the bed. I'll use the chair." "I can't." "You can, and you will." His voice dropped into that alpha command tone again, and I felt my wolf respond, despite my conscious resistance, felt that instinctive need to obey. "I'm not going to argue about this, Sophia. You're soaking wet, you're exhausted, and you look like you're about to fall over. Take the bed. Dry clothes are in the cabinet. There's a washroom with hot water. Use them." I wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain some shred of dignity, some illusion of independence. But he was right. I was soaking wet, bone tired, and my clothes were starting to cling to me uncomfortably. And more importantly, refusing felt like it would only make things worse. "Thank you," I said stiffly. "Your Majesty." "Just Stephen," he said, surprising me. "For the next 3 days at least. I get enough Your Majesty from everyone else. In here, I'd prefer something that sounds less like I'm being worshipped and more like I'm being talked to." I stared at him, trying to figure out if this was some kind of test or trap, but his expression was unreadable, giving nothing away. "All right," I said carefully. "Stephen." His name felt strange in my mouth, too intimate, too familiar, like I was claiming a relationship I had no right to. Stephen crossed to a cabinet built into the wall and pulled out a stack of neatly folded clothing. "Here. They'll be too big, but they're dry and clean, better than what you're wearing." He held them out to me, and I had to stand to take them. Our fingers brushed for just a moment during the exchange, and I felt something, not the mate bond. I knew what that was supposed to feel like from the stories, but something else. Some kind of electric current that ran up my arm and made my breath catch. Stephen felt it too. I could tell by the way his eyes widened slightly, by the sudden tension in his shoulders. But he didn't comment on it, just stepped back and gestured toward the hidden door. "Take your time," he said. "We have 3 days. There's no rush." I clutched the clothes to my chest and fled to the sleeping compartment before he could change his mind, or I could do something even more stupid than I'd already done. The compartment was small but elegant, like everything else in this carriage. The bed was built into the wall, made up with sheets that looked softer than clouds, with pillows that smelled faintly of cedar. There was a tiny window that looked out onto the storm, rain streaming down the glass in rivulets, a cabinet for storage, a lamp that cast warm light, and through another door, a washroom, an actual washroom with a basin and hot water and soap that smelled like lavender. I stood in the middle of the compartment for a moment, trying to process everything that had just happened. 20 minutes ago, I'd been standing on a platform in the rain, invisible and forgettable. Now I was trapped on a train with the Alpha King, wearing his clothes, using his washroom, sleeping in his bed. It was insane, impossible, like something out of a fever dream. I peeled off my wet clothes with stiff fingers, hanging them on hooks to dry. My coat, my mother's carefully repaired coat, dripped steadily onto the floor, leaving a small puddle. I hoped it wouldn't stain. The washroom had actual hot water, not lukewarm, but genuinely hot, steam rising from the basin. I washed quickly, scrubbing away the rain and the grime of travel, trying not to think about the fact that this was probably the nicest bath I'd had in years. The soap smelled expensive, the towels were thick and soft, and for a moment I let myself pretend I belonged here, that this was my life instead of some bizarre accident. Stephen's clothes were enormous on me. The shirt hung past my knees like a dress. The pants would have fallen off if I'd tried to wear them. I settled for just the shirt, rolling up the sleeves multiple times until my hands were free. It smelled like hemp cedar and smoke and something else I couldn't quite name. Something that made my wolf stir with interest instead of fear. When I finally emerged from the compartment, wrapping my arms around myself self-consciously, I found Stephen back in his chair by the window. He changed too, his wet shirt replaced with a fresh one, his hair damp and pushed back from his face. He looked younger somehow, less intimidating, though no less dangerous. "Better?" he asked without looking at me. "Yes, thank you." He gestured to the seat across from him, the same one I'd been commanded into earlier. "Sit, unless you're planning to hide in there for 3 days." I sat, perching on the edge of the velvet chair, hyper aware of how exposed I felt in just his shirt. The train swayed gently beneath us, the rhythm of the wheels on tracks almost hypnotic. Outside, the storm had lessened to a steady rain, the countryside passing by in dark smudges. "So," Stephen said, finally turning to look at me, "tell me about yourself, just Sophia." "There's nothing to tell," I said automatically. "Everyone has a story. Mine's boring." "I doubt that." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, and the intensity of his focus made me feel like I was the only thing in his world, like nothing else mattered except understanding me. A wolf who sneaks into the king's carriage, who talks back to alphas, who's willing to sleep on the floor rather than accept help? That's not boring, that's interesting. I shook my head, looking down at my hands twisted in the fabric of his shirt. "You don't want to know about me? I'm nobody. Just another unclaimed wolf trying to survive. There are thousands like me. Let me be the judge of that." His voice was gentle now, coaxing. "We have 3 days together, Sophia. We can spend them in silence, or we can spend them learning about each other. I know which I'd prefer." There was something in his voice, not command this time, but genuine curiosity. Like he actually wanted to know, like my story actually mattered to him. And maybe it was the exhaustion, or the strangeness of the situation, or the fact that I'd never see him again after these 3 days anyway, so what did it matter what I told him? Whatever the reason, I found myself talking. "I'm from a small pack in the Eastern Territories," I said quietly, my fingers still twisting in the fabric. Or I was, I guess, the Crescent Moon Pack. We were border wolves, not powerful, not wealthy, but we had land and autonomy and pride. My father was a warrior, not an alpha, not anyone important, just a good fighter who protected our borders. Was, Stephen noted, past tense. He died 15 years ago. Border skirmish with rogues, I was 8. The memory was still sharp, still painful my mother's scream when they brought his body home. The way the pack had gathered to mourn, the sudden feeling of being less secure, less protected. My mother, Edna Francis, she raised me alone after that. She was strong. Is strong? I corrected myself. She's still alive, still in the territory. Why didn't you stay with her? Because 5 years after my father died, our pack was absorbed by a larger territory, the Silver Ridge Pack. They were stronger, had better land, better resources. Our alpha tried to resist, but I shrugged. We lost. Most of our pack dispersed. Those who stayed became second-class citizens, I guess. Tolerated but not wanted. Stephen's expression darkened. That's against the Accords. Absorbed packs are supposed to be integrated with full rights. Supposed to be, I agreed bitterly. But the Silver Ridge Alpha doesn't care about Accords, and no one challenged him because frankly, we weren't important enough to matter. What did you do? I stayed for a while, tried to make it work, but I was 19 and unmated, and every day made it clearer that I didn't belong. The Silver Ridge Wolves looked down on us. We were reminders of their conquest, trophies that proved their superiority. And I trailed off, not wanting to say it. You were what? Forgettable, I said bluntly. Weak. My wolf never manifested properly. Every other wolf my age was finding mates, climbing the hierarchy, making something of themselves. I was invisible. So 5 years ago, I left. I've been traveling ever since, picking up work where I can find it, waiting tables, cleaning houses, mending clothes, whatever pays enough to survive. And the grand gathering, Stephen asked? You came looking for a mate? I laughed, but it was a bitter sound that surprised even me. No, I came because it's the only time of year when the trains run to the southern territories, and I heard there's work in the border towns. Agricultural work, seasonal labor. The gathering itself, I shrugged. I avoid it. I learned years ago not to put myself in situations where I'll be rejected, because you're not worth claiming, Stephen said, echoing my earlier words. Because I'm not worth claiming, I confirmed. The words hung in the air between us like a confession. I regretted them immediately. They made me sound pathetic, broken, exactly as weak as everyone had always said, but it was too late to take them back. They were the truth I'd been carrying for years. The weight that pressed down on me every time I saw mated pairs walking together, every time I watched other wolves find their place in the world while I remained on the outside looking in. Stephen's expression darkened, something dangerous flickering in those gray eyes. Who told you that? Specifically. Give me names. What? Why? Because I want to know who convinced a young wolf that she wasn't worth anything. Who looked at you and decided you were forgettable? Give me their names. The intensity in his voice startled me. He sounded angry not at me, but on my behalf, which made no sense. Why would the Alpha King care about some nobody's hurt feelings? Everyone, I said with a helpless gesture. My pack, the Silver Ridge Wolves, the alphas at previous gatherings who looked through me like I was glass. There's no one person to blame. It's just the truth. That's not. He cut himself off, his jaw tightening. When he spoke again, his voice was carefully controlled. What did they say about your wolf? That she's weak, timid, small. The shame of it burned in my chest. When I was younger, there were pack gatherings where the younger wolves would show off, race each other, spar, demonstrate their strength. I shifted once, tried to participate. My wolf she was pale and small, and she cowered when the others approached. They laughed, called her a ghost wolf, a phantom, said I'd probably never find a mate because what alpha would want someone so pathetically weak? When was the last time you shifted? 5 years ago, maybe 6. After that gathering, I stopped. What's the point of letting her out when she just confirms everything they say about me? Stephen was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Finally, he stood and moved to the cabinet, pulling out a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. He poured generous measures of deep red liquid and handed one to me. I want to make you an offer, he said, settling back into his chair with his own glass. A proposal for the next 3 days. What kind of proposal? I asked warily. Complete honesty, total truth. No ranks, no masks, no pretending to be anything we're not. He raised his glass. You tell me your truths, and I'll tell you mine. No judgment, no consequences. And when we reach the capital, we go our separate ways. We become strangers again, like this never happened. But for these 3 days, he paused, and there was something vulnerable in his expression. Something almost desperate. For these 3 days, we're real. I stared at the wine in my hand. It was reckless, dangerous, probably the worst idea I'd ever heard. Opening up to the Alpha King, sharing my deepest truths, letting him see all the broken, weak parts of me. It was asking to be heard, but there was something appealing about it too. 3 days of not having to hide, not having to pretend, not having to be the forgettable girl everyone expected me to be. 3 days where I could be honest about my failures and my fears without worrying about the consequences. And more than that, there was something in Stephen's eyes that called to me. A loneliness that matched my own. A hunger for genuine connection that he clearly didn't have in his regular life. I lifted my glass to 3 days of truth, I said. Stephen's smile was sharp as a blade, but there was relief in it too. To reckless honesty. We drank, and the wine warmed my throat, loosening the tension in my shoulders. Outside, the storm continued to rage, but inside the carriage, something had shifted. Some invisible wall had come down, creating a space where we could be honest with each other, where we could let our guards drop. So, I said, setting down my glass, if we're being honest, why did you agree to this? Why not just throw me off the train at the first stop? Why bother with me at all? Stephen was quiet for a moment, swirling the wine in his glass, watching the liquid catch the lamplight. Because I'm lonely, he said finally. So quietly, I almost didn't hear him. And I think you are too. The simple honesty of it took my breath away. Tell me about being king. I said. What's it like? Everyone thinks it must be amazing, all that power, all that control. Stephen laughed, but it was a dark sound. It's a cage, a gilded, luxurious cage, but a cage nonetheless. He took a long drink and set his glass aside, leaning back in his chair. My father was a brutal man, Cassius Ashford, the Iron King, they called him. He ruled through fear, through violence, through absolute domination. He believed that showing any weakness, any compassion, any humanity was a path to being overthrown. So he crushed everyone who might have been a threat, including his own sons. Sons, I asked? You have brothers? Had, past tense. His voice was flat, emotionless. 2 older brothers, Marcus and Julian. They died when I was 12, killed by rogues during a raid, or at least that's what my father told everyone. But you don't believe it. I know it wasn't rogues. I know because I found Marcus's body myself, and the wounds were wrong. Rogue attacks are chaotic, frenzied. Marcus's death was precise, calculated, the work of someone who knew exactly where to strike to kill quickly. Your father killed them, I breathed. I can't prove it. But yes, I believe he did. They were challenging him, questioning his methods, suggesting reforms that would have limited his power. So he removed the threat. Stephen's hands tightened on the arms of his chair. After that, I learned to be careful, to never question, never challenge, never show anything that might be construed as weakness or ambition. I became exactly what he wanted, a perfect weapon, cold and ruthless and unbreakable. But you're not, I said softly. Cold and ruthless and unbreakable, I mean. If you were, you wouldn't be telling me this, wouldn't I? Maybe this is just another manipulation. Maybe I'm making you feel sorry for me so you'll be easier to control. Maybe, I acknowledged. But I don't think so. I think you're tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of being alone. Tired of being the weapon everyone expects you to be. Stephen looked at me with something like surprise in his eyes. You're very perceptive, just Sophia. I've had a lot of practice being invisible. You learn to watch people when they don't know you're watching. And I hesitated, then pushed forward. You look like someone who's forgotten how to be anything except what others need you to be. Is that what you see when you look at me? Yes, but I also see someone who's still fighting. Someone who hasn't given up completely, even though it would probably be easier if you did. Stephen was quiet for a long time, just looking at me with those storm gray eyes. Finally, he refilled both our glasses. My father died 5 years ago, he said. Heart failure, they said. Though I suspect someone poisoned him. The territories erupted into chaos immediately. Every alpha saw an opportunity, a chance to seize power. My father had ruled through fear, but he'd also kept the peace through that fear. With him gone, there was nothing holding back the tide. So you took the throne. I took the throne because the alternative was civil war. Thousands dead, territories torn apart, decades of recovery just to get back to where we started. He stared down at his wine. I challenged every alpha who wanted the crown. One by one, I defeated them. Some I killed. Some I subjugated. Some I let live because they were smart enough to bow before I had to break them. It took 6 months to consolidate power, to make it clear that I was strong enough, brutal enough, dangerous enough to hold the throne. And then I became my father, ruling through fear, through violence, through absolute dominance. Because that's what they understood. That's what kept the peace. His voice was hollow. But my father wanted me to be a weapon, and maybe I became that. Cold, ruthless, unbreakable. And somewhere along the way, I forgot how to be anything else. I forgot how to have genuine conversations, real connections. Everyone wants something from me. Alliances, favors, power, territory. No one sees me. They see the crown, the title, the authority. But the man underneath? He looked up, and the pain in his eyes was raw and real. He's just as invisible as you claim to be. The admission hung between us, fragile and honest. I felt tears prick my eyes, not for myself, but for him. For this powerful king who had everything and nothing all at once. That sounds lonely, I said softly. Yes, He smiled, but it was sad. It is. We sat in silence for a while. The only sound, the rhythmic clack of wheels on tracks, and the gentle patter of rain against the windows. The wine continued to flow, warming us from the inside, loosening tongues and lowering defenses. "Can I ask you something?" I said eventually. "That's what we agreed to. Truth. Why keep everyone at a distance? Why not let someone in, find a mate, have a genuine connection?" Because genuine connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is weakness, and weakness gets you killed in my world. He swirled his wine, watching the lamplight play through it. I've had relationships, I suppose you'd call them, but they were all transactional. Political alliances dressed up as romance. Women who wanted the crown more than they wanted me. And I knew it, accepted it, because at least then I knew where I stood. That's no way to live. No, he agreed, it's not, but it's survival. Is that enough for you? Just surviving? Stephen looked at me with those intense gray eyes, and I felt like he was seeing straight through to my soul. No, it's not. Which is why I continue 1051. I'm making this offer, 3 days of honesty, of reality, of something genuine before I go back to that cage. He leaned forward. So tell me, Sophia, what do you want? Not what you think you should want, not what others expect you to want. What do you actually want from your life? The question caught me off guard. No one had ever asked me that before. What did I want? I want to matter, I said slowly, the words coming from somewhere deep inside. I want to be seen, to be valued for who I am, instead of dismissed for what I'm not. I want to stop feeling like I'm walking through the world leaving no footprints, like I could disappear tomorrow and no one would notice. I looked down at my hands. I want to find the strength my mother always insisted I had. I want to prove that I'm not weak, not forgettable, not worthless. And a mate, do you want that? I don't know. Maybe? The idea is appealing someone who sees you, chooses you, wants to build a life with you. But I've watched enough mated pairs to know that the mate bond doesn't guarantee happiness. Sometimes it just means you're shackled to someone who resents you, or who uses you, or who sees you as property instead of a partner. You're right, Stephen said. The mate bond isn't a guarantee of anything except biological compatibility. Real partnership requires more than that. Have you ever felt it? The mate bond? No, which is unusual for an alpha my age. Most find their mates by 25, 30 at the latest. I'm 32 now. He shrugged. I've stopped expecting it. Maybe that's not in my destiny. Maybe destiny has other plans for you. Maybe. He stood and moved to the window, looking out at the darkness rushing past. Show me your wolf. I felt my stomach drop. What? You said she's weak, timid, pathetic. I want to see for myself. No, I can't, I don't. Why not? Because she'll just confirm everything I've told you. Because you'll look at her and see exactly what everyone else sees: a ghost, a phantom, something not worth your time or attention. Stephen turned from the window, and the intensity in his expression made my breath catch. What if everyone was wrong? They weren't wrong. Prove it. He moved closer, kneeling in front of my chair so we were at eye level. Show me this weak wolf you're so convinced you are. Let me see her with my own eyes instead of through the filter of other people's judgments. Stephen, I'm asking, Sophia, not commanding, not as a king, as someone who... He paused, seeming to wrestle with his words. As someone who feels like you might be important. Like there's something about you that matters, that I need to understand. And I can't understand if you keep hiding from me. The vulnerability in his admission stole my breath. Here was the most powerful wolf in the territories, admitting that I, forgettable, unclaimed me, might be important to him. That I might matter. How could I refuse that? I don't have to shift fully, he said when I didn't respond immediately. Just let her surface. Let me feel her presence, see through her eyes for a moment. That's all I'm asking. I wanted to refuse. Wanted to protect myself from the inevitable disappointment, from seeing that look in his eyes when he realized I'd been right all along, that I was exactly as weak as I'd claimed. But something in his expression stopped me. The genuine curiosity, the desire to understand. The way he was looking at me like I mattered, like my story was worth knowing. And underneath my fear, my wolf stirred. Not with terror or hesitation, but with something else. Interest, maybe, or recognition. All right, I whispered, but don't say I didn't warn you. And don't look at me differently afterward, okay? I can handle a lot of things, but I don't think I can handle seeing pity in your eyes. I promise, Stephen said. No pity, just honesty. I closed my eyes and reached inward, toward the part of myself I'd kept locked away for so long. The part that everyone had told me was defective, broken, worthless. At first, there was nothing, just the familiar emptiness, the hollow space where my wolf should be. For a moment, I thought she wouldn't come, that she'd retreated so far into myself that I'd lost the ability to call her forward. But then, heat, it bloomed in my chest, spreading through my limbs like wildfire. My wolf surged forward, not timid, not hesitant, but eager, hungry, alive in a way she'd never been before, in a way I didn't remember her ever being. I gasped as she rose to the surface. Not a full shift, but something else, something between human and wolf. My senses exploded outward. I could smell everything, the cedar and smoke on Stephen's skin, the leather of the seats, the rain on the windows, the wine in our glasses. I could hear his heartbeat, steady and strong like a drum, could hear the blood rushing through his veins. The lamplight was too bright, making me squint, every shadow suddenly sharp and defined. And most overwhelming of all, I could feel his wolf. The massive, crushing presence of the alpha inside him, powerful enough to bring entire packs to their knees. My wolf should have cowered, should have whimpered and submitted and made herself as small as possible in the face of such overwhelming dominance. Instead, she met him as an equal. She looked at Stephen through my eyes, or I looked at him through hers. It was hard to tell where one ended and the other began, and she recognized him, not as a threat or a master, but as something else. Something that matched the loneliness inside her, the hunger for connection, the desperate need to be seen and valued and chosen. She pushed a feeling toward him. Not words, wolves didn't think in words, but a sense, an emotion, something that felt like coming home after a long journey, like finding something you didn't know you'd been searching for. Stephen's wolf responded immediately, surging to the surface to meet mine. His pupils dilated, his breathing quickened, and I felt the full weight of his power pressing against me. But it wasn't crushing or dominating. It was curious, interested. His wolf was studying mine with the same intensity Stephen himself had shown, trying to understand what he was seeing. And then his wolf pushed back a feeling of its own. Recognition, yearning. The same bottomless loneliness that my wolf had shown him reflected back like a mirror. For a moment, we were locked together, two souls, recognizing each other across the void of our separate isolation. Two wolves who'd been alone for so long they'd forgotten what connection felt like, suddenly remembering. Then Stephen jerked back, severing the connection with such force that I gasped. He was on his feet, breathing hard, his pupils still dilated, his hands shaking slightly. "That's enough," he said, his voice rough and strained. I pulled my wolf back, feeling her retreat reluctantly, confused by the sudden separation. The loss of that connection left me feeling hollow, bereft, like something vital had been ripped away. What? I had to stop and clear my throat, my voice not working properly. What just happened? Stephen had moved to the window, putting distance between us. His hands gripped the window frame hard enough that I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his muscles were corded tight. "Your wolf is not what you think she is, Sophia." "What do you mean?" He turned to face me, and there was something like awe in his expression, mixed with fear and something else I couldn't quite name. "She didn't submit to me. Do you understand what that means?" "No. Every wolf, every single wolf I've ever encountered submits to my dominance. It's instinctive, automatic, as natural as breathing. Alphas might resist for a moment before they bow. Betas drop immediately. Omegas practically prostrate themselves. But your wolf?" He ran a hand through his hair, clearly struggling to process what he'd experienced. "Your wolf met me as an equal, She looked at me at the most dominant alpha in the territories, and she didn't bow. She didn't even consider bowing. But that's not possible. I'm weak. Everyone says everyone was wrong. He crossed back to me, gripping my shoulders. Sophia, I've met thousands of wolves, alphas, betas, omegas, every variation in between. None have ever looked at me the way your wolf just did. Like she knew me, like she recognized me, like she was waiting for me. I don't understand. What are you saying? I'm saying your wolf isn't weak. She's not timid. He paused, searching for words. She's rare, possibly one of the rarest bloodlines in existence. And if I'm right about what you are, then you're in danger. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. What kind of danger? The kind where alphas will want to claim you, to use your power to legitimize their own rule. The kind where enemies will see you as a threat to be eliminated. The kind where simply existing makes you a target. But I don't have any power. You're not just anything.
His voice was fierce, almost angry, though I didn't think the anger was directed at me. And for the next 3 days, I'm going to help you understand what you really are. What you could be. He moved to the door that connected to the rest of the train and called out to someone I couldn't see. I'm not to be disturbed for the remainder of the journey. No stops except for fuel. No visitors. No exceptions. Is that clear? Yes, Your Majesty, a voice responded from the other side. One of his guards, probably. Stephen closed the door and turned back to me. 3 days, Sophia. 3 days of truth. And by the end of it, you're going to know your worth. You're going to see yourself the way I see you, not as forgettable or weak or worthless, but as something extraordinary. I stared at him, this powerful king who should have thrown me off his train, who should have dismissed me as the nobody I'd always believed I was. Instead, he was looking at me like I mattered. Like I was important. Like I was worth his time and attention and protection. Why are you doing this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Stephen was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but certain. Because I'm tired of being alone. And I think you are too. Because in 5 minutes of conversation, you've seen more of the real me than anyone has in years. Because your wolf recognized mine in a way that shouldn't be possible, and I need to understand why. He paused. And because I think maybe, just maybe, you're the answer to a question I didn't even know I was asking. What question? Whether I'm capable of being more than just a weapon. More than just a king. Whether there's still a man underneath all the armor, and whether that man deserves to have something real. He looked at me with those storm-gray eyes, and I saw vulnerability there, raw and honest. Whether I deserve to have you. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with meaning and possibility. I should have been terrified. Should have been running for the door, trying to escape before this became even more complicated than it already was. Instead, I found myself standing, crossing the small space between us, and taking his hand. 3 days of truth, I said. 3 days of truth, he agreed. And something in the way he looked at me made me believe that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as forgettable as I'd always thought. Maybe I was exactly who I was supposed to be. The night wore on, and we talked. Not about wolves or power or danger, but about smaller things. I told him about the places I'd traveled, the odd jobs I'd worked, the moments of beauty I'd found in a life spent on the margins. He told me about the burden of ruling, about the loneliness of being surrounded by people who feared you, about the small rebellions he'd engaged in as a child to preserve some sense of self against his father's brutal conditioning. Somewhere around midnight, we moved from sitting in chairs to sitting on the floor, our backs against the velvet seats, wine glasses within easy reach. The formality had dissolved, replaced by something more comfortable, more genuine. Tell me about your mother, Stephen said. Edna. You said she always insisted you were strong. What did she mean by that? I swirled the wine in my glass, watching the liquid catch the lamplight. We were on our third bottle now, or maybe fourth, and everything felt softer around the edges, easier to talk about. She used to tell me stories, I said. About the old bloodlines, the wolves that walked beside the first kings. She said they were different from other wolves. Stronger, but not in the way alphas are strong. More like. I struggled to find the words. More like they were complete unto themselves. Like they didn't need to dominate or submit because they existed outside that hierarchy entirely. The Starlight Wolves, Stephen said quietly. I looked at him sharply. What? That's what they were called. The wolves your mother was talking about. Starlight Wolves. He set down his glass and shifted to face me more fully. They're mentioned in the oldest texts, the ones that date back to the founding of the territories. They were counselors and advisors to the first kings, partners rather than subjects. They didn't respond to alpha dominance because they weren't meant to, they stood equal with the most powerful wolves, advising them, challenging them, keeping them honest. But they're extinct. Everyone knows that. Everyone thinks that. The last confirmed Starlight Wolf died almost 300 years ago. But there were always rumors that the bloodline survived, that somewhere out there, descendants were living in obscurity, their true nature hidden or suppressed. My mouth went dry. You think I think it's possible. More than possible. He reached out and took my hand, and I felt that same electric current I'd felt earlier, that sense of rightness. Your wolf didn't submit to me, Sophia. She met me as an equal, recognized me in a way that shouldn't be possible unless she's a Starlight Wolf. But I'm weak, I protested, even though the words felt less true than they had hours ago. Everyone said. Everyone was wrong. Or maybe. He paused, thinking. Maybe you've been suppressing her. Maybe the abuse, the constant message that you were worthless, made her retreat so deep inside you that she couldn't manifest properly. And now, away from all those voices, in a space where you're allowed to be yourself, she's finally waking up. I thought about that moment when she'd surfaced, the way she'd been so eager, so alive. The way she'd recognized Stephen's wolf with such certainty, such joy. What does this mean? I asked. If you're right, if I am this Starlight Wolf, what does that mean for me? Stephen's expression turned serious. It means you're in danger. Real danger. If word gets out about what you are, every alpha in the territories will come for you. Some will want to claim you, to bind themselves to your bloodline to legitimize their rule. Others will see you as a threat, a return to the old ways, where kings had equals who could challenge their authority, and they'll try to eliminate you before you become powerful enough to oppose them. That's insane. I'm nobody. I don't have any power. You have the power of your bloodline. And in the wolf world, bloodline is everything. He squeezed my hand. But there's something else you need to know about Starlight Wolves. What? They don't have mates the way other wolves do. They don't respond to the mate bond through scent or instinct or biology. They choose their partners consciously, deliberately, based on compatibility of souls and strength of character. The weight of that settled over me. So I'm not. I'll never feel that pull. That instant recognition that other wolves talk about. No. You'll never have your choice made for you by biology or fate. Your choice will be entirely your own. He paused. Which means no one can claim you unless you allow it. Unless you choose them. Freedom and isolation wrapped into one truth. No one could force me into a bond one didn't want. But I would also never have that certainty other wolves had, that sense of destiny guiding them toward their perfect match. This is too much, I said, pulling my hand away and wrapping my arms around myself. A few hours ago, I was nobody. Just another forgettable wolf trying to survive. Now you're telling me I'm this rare, powerful thing that people will want to kill or control. I don't know how to be that. I don't know how to be anything except what I've always been. Then don't try to be anything, Stephen said gently. Just be Sophia. Just be yourself. But know your worth. Know that you're not weak, not forgettable, not unclaimed by accident. You're unclaimed because you're waiting, whether you knew it or not, for someone worthy of you. For someone you choose to choose. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the truth beneath his words. He wasn't just telling me this because he was kind or because he wanted to make me feel better. He was telling me because he understood. Because in his own way, he was just as isolated, just as trapped by expectations and power he never asked for. Thank you, I said softly. For showing me this. For helping me see. Thank you for trusting me enough to let your wolf surface. That took courage. We sat together in comfortable silence as the train rattled on through the night, and I felt something inside me shift. Not my wolf, but myself. The girl who believed she was weak was fading, replaced by a woman who was only beginning to understand her own strength. But with that strength came danger. And neither of us knew it yet, but danger was already on its way. The next day dawned gray and misty, the storm having passed during the night. I woke in the sleeping compartment, wrapped in sheets that smelled like cedar and smoke, momentarily disoriented. Then memory flooded back, the wrong carriage, Stephen, the revelations about my wolf. I dressed in my own clothes, now dry, though they felt rough and uncomfortable after wearing Stephen's soft shirt. When I emerged from the compartment, I found him already awake, standing at the window with a cup of coffee in his hand. "Good morning," he said without turning around. "Morning." I moved to join him at the window, watching the countryside blur past. We were deep into the Northern Territories now, the landscape more rugged, more wild. How long until we reach the capital? 2 more days. We'll arrive late on the 3rd day, just before midnight. 2 more days of this strange bubble where we could be honest with each other, where ranks didn't matter, where I could be something other than forgettable. And then it would end, and we'd go back to being king and nobody, strangers passing in the night. The thought hurt more than I wanted to admit. "Coffee?" Stephen asked, gesturing toward a small stove in the corner where a pot sat brewing. "Please." He poured me a cup and handed it to me, our fingers brushing in the exchange. That same electric current ran between us, stronger now, more insistent. "Did you sleep well?" he asked. "Better than I have in years, actually." "That bed is..." I trailed off, not wanting to sound like I was fishing for compliments or taking advantage of his hospitality. "More comfortable than you're used to," he finished for me. "I know. That's intentional. When I travel, I want the space to feel like a sanctuary, not just another place where I have to perform." "Is that how you see your life? As a performance? Isn't that what we all do? Put on whatever mask the situation requires, say whatever words will achieve the desired outcome, be whatever version of ourselves others need us to be." He looked at me with those gray eyes. "The difference is that I've been doing it for so long, I sometimes forget where the mask ends and the real person begins. I think the real person is still there. You just have to give him permission to exist." Stephen smiled, but it was sad. "You make it sound so simple." Maybe it is. Maybe we complicate things by overthinking them. We drank our coffee in silence, watching the world pass by outside. After a while, Stephen set down his cup and turned to face me fully. "I want to try something," he said. "If you're willing." "What kind of something?" "I want to help you understand your wolf better. Help you reconnect with her, see what she's capable of when she's not being suppressed." My stomach tightened with nervousness. "I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why not?" "Because what if you're wrong? What if she's not this special starlight wolf you think she is? What if she's just broken? And we go through all this effort to wake her up fully, and it turns out I'm exactly as weak as everyone always said?" Stephen crossed to me and took my hands in his. Then we'll deal with that. But Sophia, I don't think I'm wrong. The way your wolf met mine last night, that wasn't weakness. That was strength of a kind most wolves never develop. She wasn't afraid of me. She wasn't intimidated. She saw me and recognized something worth connecting with, and she reached out without hesitation. That's not the behavior of a broken wolf. That's the behavior of a wolf who knows her own worth. But what are you really afraid of? He asked gently. That you'll discover you're weak. Or that you'll discover you're strong, and then you'll have to figure out what to do with that strength. The question cut straight to the heart of my fear. Because he was right, I was more afraid of being strong than being weak. Being weak meant I could keep my head down, keep surviving on the margins, keep existing without anyone noticing me. Being strong meant I would have to make choices, take risks, claim space in a world that had always told me I didn't belong. Both, I admitted quietly. I'm afraid of both. That's honest. I appreciate that. He squeezed my hands. But here's what I know, you're already strong, Sophia. You've been surviving on your own for years, traveling from place to place, taking whatever work you could find, refusing to give up even when everyone told you that you weren't worth anything. That takes a kind of strength most wolves never develop. You're not weak. You've never been weak. You've just been told you were weak so many times that you started to believe it. Tears pricked my eyes. What if I can't do this? What if I try to connect with her and I fail? Then we try again. And again. As many times as it takes. His voice was firm, certain. I'm not giving up on you, Sophia. And I'm not going to let you give up on yourself. The conviction in his words broke something open inside me. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Good, Stephen said. Now, let's start simple. I want you to close your eyes and just be still. Don't try to force anything. Just breathe and listen to what's inside you. I closed my eyes, focusing on my breathing. In and out. Slow and steady. Your wolf is part of you, Stephen continued, his voice low and soothing. Not separate, not foreign. She's an expression of who you are at your core. She's been hiding because the world wasn't safe for her, but you're safe now. In this carriage, with me, you're safe. So just, let her know that. Let her know it's okay to come forward. I reached inward, toward that place where my wolf lived. For years, it had felt empty, hollow. But now, after last night, I could feel her presence. Small still, hesitant, but definitely there. It's okay, I thought toward her. You're safe. We're safe. She stirred, cautious but curious. I felt her pressing against the barriers I'd built inside myself, testing them, seeing if they would hold or if she could slip through. Don't force it, Stephen said. Just let her know she's welcome. That you want her to be part of your life again. I'm sorry, I thought. I'm sorry I locked you away. I'm sorry I believed them when they said you were weak. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. Something shifted inside me. The barriers I'd built began to crack, not breaking entirely but developing fissures that let light through. My wolf pushed forward, and this time I didn't resist. I let her rise to the surface, let her senses overlay with mine. The world exploded into detail. I could smell everything, the coffee, the leather, the wood of the carriage, Stephen's scent of cedar and smoke, but also something underneath, something uniquely him. I could hear the rhythm of his heartbeat, slow and steady. The lamplight was too bright, making me squint. And I could feel his wolf, that massive presence responding to mine, interested and engaged. But this time, I wasn't afraid. This time, my wolf didn't cower or retreat. She stood her ground, meeting his wolf with quiet confidence. Good, Stephen said, and I realized I had my eyes open now, though I didn't remember opening them. That's very good. How do you feel? Strange. Powerful. Like I'm more myself than I've ever been. That's because you are. This is who you're meant to be, whole, complete, with both halves of yourself integrated instead of separated. He moved closer, and his wolf moved with him, that crushing dominance that should have terrified me. Now, let your wolf respond. Don't think about it, don't try to control it. Just let her be what she is. My wolf studied his wolf with that same intense curiosity. She could feel the power in him, the lethal strength, the dominance that could bring entire packs to their knees. But she wasn't intimidated. Instead, she was intrigued. She reached out, not physically, but with that same wordless communication wolves used, and pushed a feeling toward him. Recognition. Connection. The sense of having found something important. Stephen's wolf responded immediately, a rumble of approval that I felt more than heard. And then something shifted between them. Between us, some invisible thread connecting us, binding us together in a way that felt both new and ancient, like we were remembering something we'd forgotten long ago. Remarkable, Stephen breathed. Sophia, do you feel that? Yes. What is it? I don't know. It's not the mate bond, I know what that's supposed to feel like, and this is different. This is... He struggled for words. This is choice. Conscious recognition and acceptance. Your wolf is choosing to connect with mine, and mine is choosing to connect with yours. Not because of biology or fate, but because we want to. The realization hit me like lightning. This was what it meant to be a starlight wolf, to choose consciously, deliberately, to form bonds based on genuine compatibility rather than chemical compulsion. And I was choosing Stephen. The thought should have terrified me. We'd known each other for barely 24 hours. This was reckless, dangerous, probably the worst decision I could make. But it felt right in a way nothing else ever had. Stephen, I said, my voice rough because my wolf was so close to the surface. I think I'm choosing you. His eyes widened, something vulnerable and hopeful flickering across his face. You don't have to decide now. We still have 2 more days. You should take time to. I don't need time. My wolf knows. And I trust her more than I trust my own doubts. I reached out and took his hand. I'm choosing you. Not because I have to, not because some bond is forcing me to, but because I want to. Because you see me. Because you're helping me see myself. Because when I'm with you, I feel like I matter. Stephen pulled me close, wrapping his arms around me, and I felt his wolf surrounding mine, protective and gentle and fierce all at once. I'm choosing you too, he said into my hair. I don't know what that means yet, don't know how we make this work when we reach the capital. But I know I don't want to go back to being alone. I don't want to pretend this never happened. I want to find a way to keep this, whatever this is, alive.
We stood there for a long moment, wrapped in each other's arms, our wolves connected in a way that transcended words. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel invisible. I didn't feel forgettable. I felt seen, valued, chosen. The rest of the second day passed in a blur of conversation and discovery. Stephen taught me about the politics of the territories, about the delicate balance of power that kept the wolf packs from descending into chaos. He explained the different factions, the alliances and rivalries, the unspoken rules that governed everything. The capital is going to be overwhelming, he warned. It's not like the small packs you're used to. There are thousands of wolves there, all jockeying for position, all trying to get close to power. And when we arrive, people are going to have questions about where I've been, why I locked myself away for 3 days. What will you tell them? The truth that I needed time to think, to be alone, they'll accept that because they have to. But, Sophia, he paused, they're going to ask about you. They're going to want to know who you are, where you came from, why you were in my carriage. What should I say? That depends on what you want. We have options. He ticked them off on his fingers. Option 1. We go our separate ways when the train arrives, as originally planned. You disappear into the capital, find work, start a new life. I return to being king, and we pretend this never happened. The thought made my chest ache. What's option 2? Option 2. You stay with me, not as a mate. I know Starlight Wolves don't work that way, but as... He struggled to find the right word. As a companion, an advisor, someone I trust, someone who can help me be more than just a weapon and a crown. Your court would never accept that. An unmated female companion? The scandal alone. Let them be scandalized. I'm the king. I decide what's acceptable. His jaw was set, stubborn, but I won't force this on you, Sophia. If you want to walk away, I'll respect that. I'll make sure you have resources, money, connections to help you start whatever life you want. No strings, no obligations. And if I choose option 2, then we figure it out together. It won't be easy. There will be political complications, rivals who try to use you against me, courtiers who resent your presence. But I think, he took my hand, I think it might be worth it, having something real in my life, something genuine. Having you. Before I could respond, the train lurched violently. I was thrown forward. Would have hit the floor if Stephen hadn't caught me, his arms wrapping around me as the carriage tilted at a sickening angle. The sound of metal screaming filled the air, the shriek of brakes failing, the crunch of something massive breaking. What's happening? I gasped. Stephen's expression went dark with fury, his alpha power flooding the air. We're under attack. He set me on my feet and moved to the door, throwing it open. 2 of his guards were already there, weapons drawn, their faces grim. Your Majesty, the lead guard said, his voice tight with tension, someone sabotaged the tracks. We're on the Blackwater Trestle, suspended over the ravine. The bridge is damaged, we're not sure how long it will hold. Casualties? None yet, sir, but there are wolves approaching from both sides of the ravine. Rogues, by the look of them. At least 40, maybe more. Stephen's jaw tightened. Where's Prince Bara? The guard hesitated. We haven't confirmed his location, sir, but the scouts reported seeing someone matching his description leading the rogues. Of course he is. Stephen turned back to me, his expression fierce. Stay in this carriage. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me. Do you understand? No, I said, already moving toward him. I'm coming with you. This isn't a request, Sophia, and I'm not asking for permission. I met his eyes, letting him see my determination. You helped me discover my strength. Now let me use it. You said my wolf was powerful, that she was rare. Let me prove it. If you die out there, then I die fighting instead of hiding like prey, like someone who doesn't matter. But I'm done hiding, Stephen. I'm done being invisible. You wanted me to understand my worth? Well, I'm starting to, and part of that worth is standing beside you when it matters. Not behind you, beside you. Stephen stared at me for a long moment, conflict warring in his eyes. Then he nodded curtly. Stay close. Follow my lead. And if I tell you to run, you run. Those are my terms. Agreed. We stepped out onto the narrow platform running along the side of the carriage. The bridge swayed beneath us, damaged and unstable, the wood groaning under the weight of the train. Through the morning mist, I could see the ravine below 100-foot drop to a churning river that looked deadly even from this distance. And emerging from the trees on both sides of the ravine were wolves. Dozens of them, scarred and wild, with silver weapons gleaming in their hands. Rogues, wolves, without packs, without law, without mercy. At their head stood a massive male with gray fur and yellow eyes. As we watched, he shifted into human form, revealing a face that shared some features with Stephen, the same sharp cheekbones, the same strong jaw, but twisted with cruelty. Well, well, Prince Bara called out, his voice carrying across the bridge. The great King Stephen, caught like a rat in a trap. How deliciously fitting. Stephen's power flooded the bridge, a crushing wave of alpha dominance that should have sent every wolf to their knees. But the rogue stood firm, protected somehow by Bara's own considerable strength. Bara, Stephen said, his voice cold as winter death. I should have known you'd try something this pathetic. Sabotaging a train? This is beneath even you. Bara laughed, the sound echoing off the ravine walls. Pathetic? This is strategy, cousin. With you dead, the throne passes to me. And I promise you, I'll rule better than you ever did. No more of your weakness, your compassion, your pathetic attempts at peace. I'll return the territories to their proper state, ruled through fear, through strength, through the superiority of the strong over the weak. You mean you'll rule through chaos and bloodshed? You'll tear apart everything I've built, as if you're any different? Bara's gaze shifted to me, and his smile widened, predatory and cruel. And who's this? A little companion for your final moments? How sweet. Did you pick her up at the gathering? She smells like common blood, very common blood. She has nothing to do with this, Stephen growled, stepping in front of me. Let her go. Your quarrel is with me. Oh, I don't think so. In fact, I think I'll keep her. A gift to remember you by after I take the throne. Something to break in and enjoy. She looks like she'd be fun to train all that defiance just waiting to be crushed. I felt Stephen's wolf surge, lethal and barely contained. The air crackled with his rage, his power building to a level that made the damaged bridge groan beneath us. Touch her, Stephen said, his voice dropping into a register that made my bones vibrate, and I will tear you apart so slowly that you'll beg for death long before I grant it. Big words from a wolf standing on a broken bridge with nowhere to run. Bara gestured, and his rogues began to advance from both sides, closing in with weapons raised. I touched Stephen's arm, feeling his muscles corded tight with tension. Let me help. No, I won't risk you. You don't have a choice. There are too many of them, and we're trapped on a bridge that could collapse at any moment. You need me, Stephen. You need my wolf. He looked at me, and I saw the moment he made the decision saw him choose to trust me, to believe in the strength he'd helped me discover. Stay behind me until you shift, he said, and then we fight together, as equals, as partners. I nodded, my heart pounding with fear and adrenaline and something else, excitement, anticipation. The feeling of finally getting to stop hiding and start being who I really was. I closed my eyes and reached for my wolf. She surged forward with an eagerness that took my breath away. No hesitation, no fear, just pure, focused readiness. The transformation took me faster than ever before, my body reshaping in seconds instead of minutes. And when I opened my eyes, light, pure, blazing white light poured off my fur in waves, bright enough to make the rogues stumble back, shielding their eyes. My coat glowed with an inner radiance that turned the gray morning into brilliant day, every hair shimmering like captured starlight. For a moment, everyone froze in shock. What the hell? Bara started. I didn't give him time to finish. My wolf moved with a speed and grace I'd never experienced before, power singing through my veins like electricity. I covered the distance to the first rogue in heartbeats, my claws finding his throat before he could even raise his weapon. He went down hard, and I was already moving to the next. Stephen shifted beside me, a massive black wolf that radiated lethal power and cold precision. Together, we were unstoppable, light and shadow moving in perfect synchronization. We covered each other's blind spots, flowed around each other like we'd been fighting together for years instead of seconds. But Bara wasn't a fool. He hung back, directing his rogues like pieces on a chessboard, sending them in carefully orchestrated waves designed to exhaust us. And it was working. For every wolf we took down, 2 more appeared from the trees. They had numbers on their side, and we had nowhere to retreat. I felt a blade slash across my flank silver, burning like acid through my fur and into muscle. I yelped and stumbled, pain radiating through my side. And in that moment of weakness, 3 rogues converged on me, sensing an easy kill. Stephen's roar shook the entire bridge. It was a sound of pure rage and desperation, the cry of an alpha whose chosen mate was threatened. He tore through the rogues between us with savage efficiency, single-minded in his determination to reach me, to protect me. But Bara moved faster. The prince shifted into his massive gray wolf form and tackled Stephen mid-leap. They went down in a tangle of fur and fangs, rolling dangerously close to the edge of the broken bridge, where the tracks had given way to empty air. I struggled to my feet, ignoring the burning pain in my side. Blood matted my glowing fur, but I forced myself to move. The rogues were circling me again, closing in with that patient, methodical approach of predators who knew their prey was injured and vulnerable. And in that moment, as I stared at them through pain and exhaustion, I thought of my mother, Edna Francis, who had always insisted I was special, who had told me stories about the wolves that walked beside kings, who had seen something in me that no one else could see. You are stronger than you think, Sophia. I felt something shift inside me then, some core of power I'd been suppressing my entire life because everyone had told me it wasn't there, but it was there. It had always been there. I was not weak, I was not forgettable, I was not unclaimed by accident. I was a starlight wolf. The realization hit me like lightning, and power surged through me in response. My light intensified, becoming blinding, brilliant, beautiful. It poured off me in waves that made the rogues cry out and fall back, their eyes burning, unable to look at me directly without pain. I didn't hesitate. I turned and ran toward where Stephen and Bara were still locked in deadly combat at the edge of the bridge, their combined weight making the damaged wood crack and splinter with ominous sounds. I could see it happening the moment the bridge would give way, sending both of them plummeting into the ravine below. I accelerated, my paws barely touching the damaged wood, my light blazing. I slammed into Bara's side with all my weight and momentum, knocking him away from Stephen. All three of us skidded toward the edge, and the bridge collapsed. I felt myself falling, the wind rushing past, the river churning below. Instinct made me shift back to human form, my hands grasping desperately for something, anything. My fingers caught the edge of a broken beam. Pain shot through my injured side, but I held on, my legs dangling over the deadly drop. Above me, I could hear shouting, could feel the bridge continuing to crumble. "Sophia!" Stephen's voice, raw with terror. "I'm okay," I called back. Though my grip was slipping, the beam slick with blood, mine or someone else's, I couldn't tell. Then a weight crashed into me from below. Bara. He'd caught onto the same beam, and now he was climbing up, using me as a ladder. His claws dug into my leg, and I screamed, the pain bright and terrible. "If I die, you die with me, you common bitch," he snarled, pulling himself higher, dragging me down with his weight. Above us, Stephen was reaching down, his hand extended, his face a mask of desperation. Grabbed my hand, but Bara pulled me lower, his weight making my fingers slip on the beam. I could feel my grip failing, could feel myself sliding toward the churning water below. I looked up at Stephen, our eyes meeting across that terrible distance. And I made my choice. Not the choice to save myself, but the choice to save him, to prove that I was strong enough, worthy enough, brave enough to stand beside a king. "I choose you," I said, my voice carrying up to him despite the wind and the river's roar. "Stephen, I choose you. I've always chosen you." And I let go of the beam, not to fall, but to shift. My starlight wolf emerged in a burst of light, so bright it turned the gray world white, bright enough to be seen from miles away. And suddenly I wasn't falling, I was flying, my powerful legs propelling me upward off Bara's sinking form, using his body as a springboard. My claws found purchase on the rock face of the ravine, and I climbed with strength I didn't know I possessed, muscles burning but refusing to give up. I cleared the edge of the broken bridge and landed on solid ground, shifting back to human form immediately. Stephen caught me as I collapsed, his arms wrapping around me, holding me like he'd never let go. Below us, Bara's screams faded, swallowed by the river and the rocks and the cold. The prince was gone. "That was insane," Stephen said hoarsely, his face buried in my hair. "You could have died. You should have died." "But I didn't," I gasped, clinging to him despite the pain radiating from my side. "I chose you, Stephen, not because of fate or destiny or some bond I can't control. Because I wanted to. Because you're worth choosing. Because when I'm with you, I'm not invisible anymore." He pulled back enough to look at me, his hands cupping my face, and then he kissed me. Hard and desperate and full of relief and promise and the beginning of something neither of us fully understood yet, but both of us wanted. Around us, the remaining rogues were fleeing, scattering into the forest now that their leader was gone. The battle was over. We had won. But as Stephen helped me to my feet, as his guards rushed forward with medical supplies for my wounds, I knew this was just the beginning. Because now they'd all seen what I was. The light that poured from my fur, the way I defied gravity itself to save their king. There would be no going back to being invisible ever again. And I was finally ready for that.